Hey, friends. It is the Harper's After Dark. I'm Yolanda.
I'm
And
Shaman.
this is Shaman.
I'm Shaman.
And we are the founders of Harper Therapy. And obviously, we're just having a good time tonight. Just kind of joking around.
Me llamo Shaman.
So, just a reminder to bring fun and play into your relationship.
Is that what it is?
Yes, we're practicing.
Right.
So we actually are here tonight to give you some more tips. We want to share how to help you through the messy middle of marriage. So as we have shared about relationships and about marriage, we've talked about the myths of relationships that we kind of buy into.
Right.
We've talked about the stages of relationship that happen, right? That enamored beginning stage, and then where a lot of us find like the bottom falls out during what we call the messy middle.
The blur.
The blur of
kids,
careers and kids and all that kind of stuff, right? We shared last time with you about the 5 horsemen.
4 horsemen.
The 4 horsemen.
Thank you. I was like,
there you go. That's good.
4.
So I was thinking we have another numbered night tonight.
Right.
So we had 4 horsemen, 5 love languages.
5 love languages.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Right.
That's what confused me. So we're going to share information tonight about the 5 love languages. Now, this is not unique, right?
No.
The 5 love languages have been around. We actually got a copy of that book as a wedding gift.
Yeah, we're not making this up.
No, we don't make stuff up.
Oh, no.
So we actually got the book, The 5 Love Languages, as a wedding gift. That some of us did read and some of us maybe did.
I read it. I did read it.
So, but it's very helpful to keep the 5 love languages in mind, because just like when you travel abroad, right, and you're traveling in a foreign country where they don't speak your native language,
mm-hmm.
Oftentimes in our relationships we try to communicate love in our primary love language, right? So that's what makes sense, because that's what works for us. Only that might not, that usually we're partnered with someone. Yeah, thumbs up. True, right? Usually we're partnered with someone who has a different love language, and when we're trying to express love to them in that love language, it just falls flat. I mean, they're not feeling loved and appreciated.
Right, because you're not speaking the same language.
It's like you're in France and you're trying to speak Mandarin, Chinese. Doesn't work.
No.
Right. So let's start. What's the first of the 5 love languages?
So the first of the 5 love languages, which happens to be your love language,
mm-hmm.
is words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation. So this is those kind words, the uplifting words, the, hey, you really rock, right? That fills your love cup. That makes you feel nice and warm and fuzzy inside.
Sure.
Right? And here's an important thing to keep in mind. When we know what our love language is, we also know kind of the superpower kryptonite.
Sure.
Right? So the flip side of that is harsh words.
Right.
Right? You know this, right? He's like, yes.
Oh, Lord.
Harsh words, I'm especially sensitive to. Right?
Right.
So it's keeping that in mind as you are interacting with your partner, expressing, as you kind of get to know each other's love language, or as you're more aware of what each other's love languages are, also kind of keeping in mind a greater amount of sensitivity for ourselves in our primary love language, or lack thereof.
Right. Right. And we always have that desire, like, we don't understand why you don't speak my love language.
Right.
And then we want to give you our love language, right?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you react the same that I do to, the love language I like?
So when we're interacting, and if there are what I perceive to be harsh words from Shaman, I have to remind myself that I can be especially sensitive, right? Or especially tender around words of affirmation, because that is a love language.
Right, because there's never harsh words from Shaman.
Of course not.
Ever.
The second love language,
Physical touch,
right, which is yours.
maybe.
Okay, so let's just call this as it is. I think that there's a general stereotype with a lot of people that a gender stereotype that men's love language is going to be physical touch. And the physical touch that we're talking about certainly can include sexual touch, but it's not primarily sexual touch. It's any physical touch, any appropriate physical touch. So that is like us being shoulder to shoulder.
Like right now?
That is, a hand on a shoulder or a back, holding hands, kissing,
Right.
right, caressing, and of course sex as well.
Maybe sex.
Yeah, that too, because that's important.
Right.
So, and again, the flip side of that, or the kryptonite, superpower kryptonite, is that if there is not physical touch in place,
That withdrawing, right.
yeah,
That cold shoulder kind
the
of
cold
thing.
shoulder is especially frigid,
Right.
right?
Hurts even more.
Right. Then the third of our 5 love languages,
Right. It's quality time.
quality time.
Right.
So that is like undivided time together,
Yes.
doing whatever.
I guess it adds the question, can you change? Like as time goes by.
Right. So that I was going to bring that up. A lot of times that question is posed like, what can you change your love? Does your love language change over time? Right.
I think so.
I think it has a possibility to as we grow as people,
Right.
right? And as you grow in your relationship, now quality time is very important to us. Probably because we've been through the messy middle. We're on the other side of that.
Right.
And we're like, oh, wait, I know you.
Right.
I remember, I kind of like you.
Hey, let's go do some stuff together.
Right, let's go. Yeah.
And that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So quality time is another love language. And again, superpower kryptonite, the flip side of quality time is if you're with me, but you're not really present,
Right.
I can tell that.
It's kind of annoying.
Right? It's not just annoying for me. It's like,
It's disrespectful.
it's disrespectful, but respect is a core value of mine. Right?
Right.
It's like a knife, right? Like a jagged little pill. Right? Awesome. So I don't even know what number we're on at this point. What's the next level language?
Number 4.
Number 4.
It's gifts.
Gifts.
Right.
So another misconception about love languages and the love language of gifts is that it's like a big, fancy, like very expensive thing.
Right.
love
It's going
language.
all out. And,
Diamonds and boats and whatever.
right.
RVs.
I like RVs.
So, but the reality is that the gifts are actually tokens, right? The gifts are thoughts of, hey, I picked this flower for you.
Right.
Or, hey, I brought you your favorite coffee because I know how much you love it, right? So it's that message of, I was thinking of you.
It's the thought behind the gift.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. So again, on the flip side of that, if our love language is gifts and we don't receive those tokens in whatever way, that can weigh. That can be heavy.
Right. We could be like, why doesn't he ever show that?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Doesn't love me.
Doesn't care.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the last of the 5 love languages, number 5.
Acts of service.
Yeah. Acts of service are those just taking care of simple tasks.
Right.
Right? That unloading the dishwasher.
Right.
Gassing up the car.
I'll clean out the cat box tonight.
Awesome.
Right.
You're great at that.
No.
Yeah. So those acts of service mean a lot for a person whose love language is acts of service. And again, if a person is feeling like they are the only one doing these tasks,
Right.
then there's going to be some
They feel poured out and drained. And
frustration and
frustrated
resentment.
resentment. Yes, resentment.
Yeah.
That's the word.
So here's the important thing to keep in mind when we are looking at our love languages. So just with the description, you probably have a good idea of your love language. There's usually a primary one and there's usually a secondary one that's pretty close behind it, right?
Right. I think
So
it's
like
fair.
words of affirmation, quality time are pretty close for me.
Right. And I would say for me, it's very similar. It's like probably physical touch and quality time.
Yeah.
And you may be able to even interflip those as.
Right. Yeah, depending on the moment,
Right.
right? And since we know this about each other, we can be more intentional about those love languages and making sure that we are putting those into place in our relationship.
Right. I want to make an impression on you. I want to show you my love. I use kind words.
Right.
And
Right.
I know that's what, I want to say turns you on, but I know that's
Yeah.
what, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It fills up my love bucket.
Right.
Yeah. And then we can also, for ourselves, take some responsibility when we know our own love language to ask for what we need.
Sure.
Or to say, you know what, ouch, that hurt. I know that you probably didn't mean for that to hurt. I know that I'm a little tender around words. And so the way that you said that, you probably didn't mean that.
Right.
But that was really painful.
Sure.
Right. So it's one thing to know. And then it's another thing to take action on what we know.
Yes.
Both ways. So drop a comment in the box. What's your love language? Primary, secondary? Do you know your partner's love language? If not, watch this video together and talk about what your love languages are and how you can put them into place in your relationship a little bit more. Because this is part of what helps get through that messy middle. Because there's not a lot of extra energy to figure this out, right? So when we're clear and when we can stop spending all of this energy trying to speak Mandarin Chinese, right? When our partner's speaking French and we're so frustrated, we're banging our head up against the wall. We're like, why doesn't he get it? It just allows for a greater level of connection. So that's our 5 love languages for tonight. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope that you have a great evening. Bye.